Okay, so let's start the discussion again. So before again moving further, whatever we have discussed, do you have any kind of question related to that, or any something you want to add, any kind of information, or some information you expect from my side, or any kind of doubt, something? So you can raise the doubts. Then I'll move forward from the last topic what we have finished in last session. Right, we have started discussion on this topic, how to consider all these things. So we have discussed, I think we have discussed this four uh, topic: agriculture, forestry, soil and water conservation, income generation. Right, we need to start from extension and then we'll try to finish this topic itself. But again, before moving further, is there any question, any kind of question that you people have from the last discussion, what we have discussed there? Is there any kind of question from anyone? Either you can unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can write a question in chat box. So, do use annotation tool. So, okay, since none of you are asking any questions, so I assume there is no doubt from your side. But still, if you have any doubt in the in between session, you can raise your question. Is there no issue on that? It's clear. So, let's start the discussion from here. So basically, the main topic we are discussing is the women participation in the watershed management project, isn't it? And we have discussed several kind of hindrance or certain kind of myths, and we have also discussed certain kind of perception related to the woman that become a basic hindrance. For example, land ownership. We have discussed that because in our country or most of the part in our country has less ownership related to the woman, so that's why woman is debarred from any kind of participation. Then, since women are engaged mostly in household chores, so because of that, right, they don't have sufficient time to engage in some other kind of activities. Another kind of perception is there. So we have discussed several perceptions, and there and women's proper role in all these perceptions, isn't it? So apart from that, as we have discussed in last week, if we have made certain kind of technological advancement, right, or we provide certain basic facility, as we discussed that in some part, rural part of a country, mostly women has to travel kilometers to collect drinking water. But if you're providing pipeline towards their village or towards their home, it will save the time, right? And if time will be saved, then what will happen? Time will be saved. Then we can engage women in some other kind of development activities, right? So in this regard, we have discussed how they have a contribute to agriculture, how they can contribute in forestry, how women has a participation in soil water conservation and income generation capability, isn't it? So at that one, annotation like tools, where it is, uh, just wait where I get annotation tool. Okay, so let's start the discussion here itself. So we'll start from this from income generation. Again, I'm going from this income generation part, and then we can understand the basic concept related to that. Fine. So let's try to understand income generation. Okay. So before moving further, I like to quote one or two sentence that is from the research paper itself, right? Because the one researcher Kabir in 1994, he has developed this idea that woman has a more bargaining power, right? More bargaining power because The woman has the ability to play a very active role in any kind of decision making, right? And because of bargaining power, they can contribute more as per our perception. These things has been totally highlighted by one of the research paper that you should know there. And in addition, if women are able to gain, or you can say that if woman has get advantage to access new social network, right? If new social network, then new content can be developed, right? And all those through this kind of activity, they may get aware of the more development activity that is occur related to the watershed development. Not only the watershed development related activities, right? Watershed development is a part, and we already discussed that in the integrated watershed management program. If watershed is there, apart from watershed development, some other development activity has to be carried out there. For example, small cotton industries there, fisheries can be developed, then they have a livestock rearing can be developed there, agriculture, forest, lots of other activities are there. So if women are very much engaged, then basically if you see in the rural areas where the women are very much engaging themselves in all these agriculture related activities, but mostly they are doing the things in a very traditional way, so that's very time consuming, and they are able to generate very less income for that. But if you're providing them with techno advantage, as I said, if you're providing a kind of activity where they gain more social networking, isn't it? And if some other kind of awareness program, or you can say extension activity, if that can be promoted there, so they get more bargaining power, and then they can improve, right? This is one aspect. Other aspect, that mostly again women has don't have that much income, so they don't have more money to invest somewhere. So if facility can be provided, for example, a loan at a very low interest rate, or certain kind of government programs providing the certain kind of financial help to the women's group, that can also have a help in their income generation capability, right? And so I hope you understand that what the basic. So here, what I like to highlight that what the basic constraint related to the income generation, how the things can be sorted out. So again, I am make it clear to all of you. The basic constraint related to the income generation is lack of access to capital, as I said you, because they don't have income generation capacity, so they don't have enough financial freedom. Is it clear? Then they don't own any property. This is another hurdle. And since they have engaged very much in household works, so again, women don't have so much time. And if they don't have so much time, so they don't have to visit the other marketplace where they can understand the financial activity there, isn't it? And because they don't own any kind of cattle or any kind of land, so because of that they are unable to access the credit, right? For example, the woman need any kind of loan from the bank or something, so what the guarantee she can provide? She don't have a ownership of anything, right? So these are certain concepts that I have discussed with you. And then I have discussed how the things can be modified, or how the things can be advanced, so that the woman get more freedom related to their income capacity, isn't it? So, and how the income capacity will be generated? So you have to save the labor. If we are developing certain kind of mechanism which is going to save the woman's labor in their household activities, so they can use that time in other kind of economical activities, whether they can generate income for themselves, right? And for example, if they have a time, so they can visit certain marketplace to understand the activity of buying and selling, right? Or the activity of demand and supply chain, what kind of product that has been demanded, so that they can raise that kind of economic product in their own field. And if they have certain kind of uh, traditional skills to make certain kind of equipment or furnitures, or certain kind of other home used um, utensils using the bamboo, other kind of small timber. So how the things can be done there? So if they get time, they can visit the marketplace, they can understand the things, right? So we need to improve the things. First, we have to provide certain ownership related to the land to them. We have to provide certain ownership related to the other physical property if we have, so that they can generate certain kind of credit system. And if credit system will be there, so they can set up any kind of small private industries. And not only one, even the more women can come together, so the things can be developed accordingly and income generation process will start. And I hope you have already heard the several cases related to the self-help group. In Hindi, it's called Swam Sahayata group, mostly in the rural areas. This kind of activity or this kind of government program that is being run by uh, the total woman group is there, and they are running on this very small saving they are supposed to make, and in the long run they can get more benefit because of that activity. Is it up to this point? Is it clear? Is there any kind of question that you people have related to this point? Is there any kind of question? Okay, Bidabo has said clear, but is there any other student? If you have any kind of question, if you understand woman role and income generation here, how the things can be improved, or what the constraint, how the constraint can be properly handled there. Okay, so all the students are saying no, no, no question at all. So let's go for the next thing, extension and training. Right. So listen here, how these things can be improved, extension and training. As I've said you and I have discussed several times, that women may not have enough time to attend training because they are engaging lots of activity, right? So how they're supposed to improve their skill? So there is one very common facility you all have seen in the village itself, and this is a common practice also. Ki better you select an elderly woman from the village and you train them. And obviously, the elderly woman has get interested to train the other women. This is a very common practice that is still in our any kind of village you have able to see that. So if the woman don't have a time, or or if despite they don't have a time, there's one case. Second case, as I said, that you all have again seen, that the second is that because of some culturally foundation, their culturally foundation, there's some tradition that women are not allowed to leave their home or not even the village also. So this is another major constraint, how to develop the skills of women. So a simple solution for this is extension activity, and how the extension activity has to be carried out. So you need to select certain dynamic local women, right, as a trainer, and first you have to train them. And generally, elderly women, if you're going to select, the things becomes very simple. Rather than selecting any young woman, if you're going to select certain elder woman or matured woman, the things will become very simple because this elderly woman is very well integrated and respected in the community, isn't it? And because of that factor, if you select some of women like that, you train them, and they are supposed to impart the training facility to other women in the village itself. Is it there's one advantage? The second advantage why hiring the local women is there, that they can communicate with other women in a local language. So again, there's no language foundation that you are talking about Hindi or English or some other kind of language. So better if you talk to the person with their own language, then there's relation becomes more stronger there. So through this method, you are able to impart extension training program to the women, right? And through this program, obviously, you can provide them how to develop their agricultural skills, how to develop their traditional method to develop any kind of other tools for their household. So, and if traditional method can be improved by certain kind of technology advancement, so obviously, if technology advancement come into the picture, so the woman will get more exposure, right? More exposure, the distribution area will become, and if the distribution area, because they are able to save their time, they are now after that they are able to engage themselves with certain kind of economic activity. Is it clear? Have you get that to this point? Is there any question up to this point? If any student have, okay. So again, there is no question that has been raised from anyone. So let's move to the next relation with women and organization building. Hmm. So here again, you have to understand the basic conditions of women again. So generally in the farmers organization, generally, right, in any kind of farmer organization or any other kind of organization, if you see, so women are really very less representation there, or you can say that some areas underrepresentation, right? Even the community level, they are not engaged properly, isn't it? So So this is another problem there. They are not getting proper representation. And what the reason for that? So reasons are there that they don't have a good enough public speaking. Again, this is a perception that we have already discussed during the meet, isn't it? If they have a difficulty to speak in public or they have a difficulty to participate in any kind of decision making. And again, in this kind of restrictions has totally depend on the locality. There may be some locality which have certain kind of liberation, but most of the community in our country's periphery, if you can look at there, so women have a lots of constraint there, right? They have very difficult in public speaking. They are not uh, promoted to any kind of decision making activity, right? So this is one problem the women are facing. So how the things can be restored again? If you are facing this kind of problem, then less women participation is there. So what we need to do, right? So again, this problem need to be sorted out to allow the woman to participate in any kind of local gathering that is happen around the boundary of village or any kind of district, any kind of activity. If is their local gathering is there, women should get enough liberty to participate there, right? And when they get participated there, then they can learn all the things. What is the public speaking, and how the decision has been taken, and how the more information can be gathered, and what will the resource through which the information can be gathered, right? So here we need to develop the women's organization. Women's organization, but the development process is not so easy because of certain constraints, certain traditional constraints are there. And because of traditional consent, we need to develop certain kind of environment where women are allowed to participate in any kind of decision making process. Not in initial say, as you call that, they have to sit, they have to first listen, try to understand, and not with the very first they have to take decision making or any kind of activity or any kind of public speaking, but you need to allow them, right, to participate in any kind of gathering, any kind of activity like that, whether they can learn all the process, how the decision making things can be happen, what the decision making tool to be adopted, and how the public speaking process is there, and how the public speaking has to be done there. So all these things can be sorted out if women are allowed to attend any kind of public gathering that is happening around the boundary of their village or outside the village itself, right? So these things need to be uh, understand here. You need to be very sensitized towards the woman itself, isn't it? You need to enhance their participation, not only the informal institution, but in the formal institution also. Generally, in formal institution, woman has certain role, but when it comes to the formal kind of institution, or even the bigger government organization, or even any kind of formal where the Samavesen has been formed, so one need to allow the proper representation of women there, right? So without this kind of effort, it is very difficult to improve the condition of women. And then we are not supposed to take the myth that we have discussed there. Right? Myth. That's why the term myth has been. They are just myth. You need to expose the potential of women and women group also by providing certain kind of facility to there. They have, and if you are going to improve all these things step by step, isn't it? So you'll get more participation of women in any kind of project. Since we are discussing the watershed management project, so in the very first statement I have said you, if you want to get success in any kind of project, right, women participation is mandatory. Because if you read lots of research papers and most of the research papers say that if there is any less participation in any kind of program of women, the program has been failed or the program is not able to get its desired objective in a proper time frame. Right? Because we all know that at the end of the day, the users of all this facility is women. So without their participation, how the things can be restored for long term? And we are talking about the sustainability here, isn't it? So sustainability is totally depend upon the woman participation or the woman's active role in any kind of development activity that you are carried out. If you are a forest manager, you are developing even a simple forestry program there. So you need to make a certain kind of local group and who is comprised of women who is supposed to support you. And when women come in front, your program will get success. That's guaranteed. Right. And all this statement has been properly proved in several research papers that has been written over there. You can read lots of research papers where women's role has been emphasized with respect to any kind of development program that is running over there. Fine. After this, so you just try to answer all this facilities step by step. That's the things point has been written like that. Agriculture, forestry, you have mentioned soil and water, then income generation, then extension and training, and organization building. So up to this organization building, it means you have already trained the woman all this basic facility related to the organization. Then after that, you have to make certain kind of organization. So yeah, this point has been written over there, all women's group. So try to understand this point here again. So, but before moving further, again, if any question from this agriculture point to this organizational building, if any point, any note you are unable to understand, you can ask a question from this particular point. Then I move to this other concept, all women's interest and benefit and empowerment. Is there any kind of question from anyone? Any student? Either you can unmute yourself, ask a question, or you can write in public chat. But better if you unmute yourself, ask a question, it will save time. Okay, so students are typing. So better unmute yourself and share your opinion. Exchange program is only for the elderly so that they can train the young ones. Christy has a question. The extension training program is only for the elderly so that they can train the young ones, or it is for everyone. Now, Christy, it is for everyone. See, what we are emphasizing through this discussion here is extension program for everyone, but because of certain restraint that we have discussed. First restraint is there that women are so much engaged in their house chores, and because of house chores, they don't have sufficient time. Right? First case. Second thing is that we have a certain cultural or traditional foundation. Right? Because of cultural or traditional foundation, women even can't leave their home for anything. So we how you say that they are supposed to leave the village for going to other place to learn something. So because of this constraint, the solution is there. Otherwise, if there is no such kind of constraint, right, you can invite all the women for extension and training program. There is no restriction on that. But because of these two restrictions that I have told you, Christy, because of these two restrictions, we are using this kind of method. Okay, if women don't have time, so okay, we can provide the facility in their home itself. Okay, even the home, they have to talk to some women, so you just train some elderly women so they can properly include with these women and they can impart the information that you have intention to share with those women. Is it clear, Christy? Yes. Is there any question from anyone? Okay, so now I assume that you understand that, but still, if you have any question in between session, you can ask a question. There is no issue on that. Now, the next thing that we need to understand interest and benefits, right, related to the watershed management aspect and woman role in that. So now try to understand the things here. So these are the other benefit, and we are discussing the things here in a very uh, narrow economic terms, right? So you need to understand here clearly. So you know that if there is some kind of return for investment, it is assumed there is a profit, isn't it? You are making certain kind of money, you are putting certain kind of money as an investment, and then you are there you are getting some return. So obviously it is one kind of benefit. So here one thing you need to understand, this leaves out one important aspect. This leaves out, despite you are making investment, you are getting benefit, but still this leaves out important aspect. What can be important aspects to try to understand? Workload, empowerment, autonomy, and social relation. Right? You are putting a money, you are getting interest, but this is not the only thing that one need to understand. We are also not supposed to miss this aspect also. Again, I am repeating the aspect: workload, empowerment, autonomy, and social relation. Right? Why we need to understand all those things? So try to understand and listen carefully. Because if we are making invest, that doesn't mean we should have to forget the emotional approach also, or the social approach. We are making investment, but we are not supposed to be so mechanical. For example, since we are developing watershed management program, so what are the objective, basic objective? Only profit making, isn't it? Or if you are developing a program, so the program is supposed to serve whom? Is it clear? So these things need to be understood here. So let me discuss with you. So So here you need to understand one thing. So these kind of practical interest are those immediate practical use. I hope you are getting, listen carefully. Again, I am repeating the things. We are making investment, we are getting interest, or that interest is a benefit. Fine. But despite this process, we need to understand other aspect also. Other aspect is if this kind of activity is providing any kind of empowerment, or this kind of activity providing any kind of social relation, or this kind of activity providing any kind of autonomy there or not, right? Or what kind of workload is there. So we need to understand the things in together. Despite we are making economic activity by developing this watershed management program. So general watershed management program, so we have to make an investment. So our investment should not be only uh, getting revenue in terms of monetary, but we need to understand this kind of activity, whether this watershed management program is providing enough empowerment is there or not, or this kind of watershed activity is providing what kind of social economic aspect there, and especially social relation, is there providing any kind of social relations or not there, isn't it? So here you need to understand both the things, their interest and their need also. And this watershed management program should ensure that all these other aspects of human relation should be taken care of, right? Tangible benefits is there. We all understand that tangible benefits, but intangible benefits should be secured also there. I would say tangible is means monetary. If you get in return money, money is a tangible benefit. But apart from money, what we are achieving through our watershed management program, that is intangible benefit. So while formatting the program, and after implementation and all the steps has to be followed out, we need to take care of these aspects also. Not only tangible benefit has to be secured, but intangible benefit should be taken care of also. Because see, tangible benefit you can measure that, but intangible benefit you can't put any kind of economic aspect there, right? Or any kind of financial. For example, through this water management program, you are getting quality of water. So how do you measure this quality of water? Isn't it? Well, through Watershed management program, you can providing certain kind of recreation facility there, right? And recreation facility providing the pleasure. So how you going to measure the pleasure? But still, if you are making a program, you should take care of these benefits also, right? Because if you're going to combine both tangible and intangible benefit, then your program have a sustainable result, right? And and if you again intention to make it sustainable, you need to you need to draw the attention of women towards the program. You need to ensure that the proper participation of women should be there, right? So if you are able to convince them that the program has a benefit for them, so it is guaranteed that your program has a sustainable potential, right? And you are able to serve all necessary needs and all the objectives has been met appropriately. Is it clear? Have you guys, is there any question from this point? Is there any question from anyone? If you can ask, then I move ahead to the other point. Okay, mostly not writing clear. But at least if you have any kind of question or any some information that you have intention to add here, or any kind of thing that you would like to share. See, you people belong to the basic tribal area, so maybe some kind of what the things we are discussing here, maybe some kind of practice has been in your uh, village or your community. Is there any kind of activity like that where women's participation has been given paramount importance and or any kind of extensive program is running over there? If anyone is would like to share something. Is it because there is culturally the northeast part is a very matriarchal society, so generally the women have come in front for all kind of decision making. So that's why I'm asking this question to all of you, those belong to the northeast part of our country. So is there any kind of story that you like to share that where this any kind of program is running in your village and women come to the front and the program is get is desired objective? Is there any student or especially girl student I'm asking? None of you have any kind of story. So you need to keep in mind that it will be assignment for all of you, right? You need to go and read your village properly if there is any kind of government programs and how the woman has been involved there, right? It will be as a assignment for all of you. Is it clear? Okay, so let's move to this last topic of this empowerment. So as I said you, when you are making a program, what is a managed program? So we need to take out tangible and intangible benefit. So this empowerment is potential intangible benefit, right? Is really this the one important intangible benefit empowerment is there. And what does empowerment means? Right? So empowerment means is you are providing certain kind of authority in decision making, right? You are providing certain kind of ownership so that the person has a control over resource, right? And you are providing them the negotiating authority, right? That is called empowerment. So while you formulating the program, and then you are keeping the picture of women in mind. So not only their labor is be required, okay, you come on the daily wage labor, perform your get your money back, right? Not only this, we need to empower them. Empower them means obviously I have said you have to take their opinion related to the decision making, and not only opinion, even they have a complete say, right? They have a very authoritarian view on the decision making, right? And you are also providing ownership to them so that they are able to control the source, proper resource that is available there. And if they have ownership and they have authority, then in negotiating the terms, isn't it? And if all this empowerment will be there, so then you are able to generate more interest to the women so that they can participate properly, wholeheartedly. Right. If you are calling the woman just for labor, you come here, give your labor for 7, 8 hours and get back your money. Right. And without empowerment, you can't get complete interest of any human, you will say that. But since I am stressing the woman, so if women get certain kind of decision making authority, certain kind of ownership, so obviously they can negotiate the term. They have a seen any kind of program there, right? And then you are able to make a certain arrangement to reduce the power struggle also, right? If you give the importance to the woman, obviously the society which is male dominated, you will get a certain kind of friction or certain kind of opposition, right? So you need to make a balance between this kind of power struggle also there. So how the struggle, this power struggle can be minimized? So So you need to minimize this power struggle, and a very simple method is that you need to process or you need to make certain kind of arrangement related to the institution. You are making organization, you socialize the things, right? Institution, you are developing institution, you are developing any kind of small organization, and then you are making a proper hierarchy where the woman can be there. Then after that, you are able to reduce the power struggle. Right. So despite you providing decision making, but if there is no hierarchy and there is no kind of institution is there, local institution or user group institution, I have said you self-help group institutions are there. So you need to develop certain kind of institutions where proper hierarchy need to be there, and then you are able to reduce the power struggle between the male and female society there. Have you get that? Is it good or not? Up to this point, all these points are clear to all of you. That's the topic you are discussing here. Have we get that? Okay, how to consider, see, what the main heading we have been discussing this topic, how to consider gender in watershed management aspect. So these are certain parameters that need to be followed to consider the gender participation in watershed management aspect. And generally, we are emphasizing the role of women in this. So if you have any kind of question related to that, you people can ask. Then I'll move ahead. Is there any question among all these three, all these points we have discussed there, 7, 8, 9 point, whatever the point we have discussed there? Is there any question related to this? You people can ask. No question from anyone? Okay, so since no question as well, so I assume that you have understand all the points. So go for the next thing. Yes. Now we'll discuss how to consider gender in watershed management program cycle. Right? How to consider gender in watershed management program cycle. So we have to discuss the aspect in all these 5 points that I have written over there. So one by one, again, I like to discuss all these points to you to make you understanding the concept here. Okay, so the points are there: analysis of situation and problem definition, then gender analysis tools, decision making and planning, then implementation, monitoring and evaluation. So let's go for that to understand the things here. ये rotation extensively क्या है?
The person you have called is speaking to someone. You can
Okay, Christy is writing something. So apart from one self-help group, what the other organizations are there? See, this help group is one kind of women program. There are generally the women have this kind of group, generally in this part of village. And maybe your tribal area, there may be certain kind of community level group they can meet, perhaps. But generally, what a case study that we are getting or I have seen here and there in the village, generally the self-help group they have formed there, isn't it? Self-help group we have, and students, sorry, women are engaging in self-help group, and all these women groups are there. And maybe as per the community group can be made there if possible. Right. If you're while calling, please mute yourself from there. Okay. Fine. So, so now let's start discussing on the. Okay. Okay. So I hope again I'm audible properly to all. So let's start the discussion on all these points. Let's see. As per the time permits, we'll try to discuss some point. So as we're discussing this, how to consider gender in what I said management program cycle. So first thing we need to understand analysis of situation and problem definition. Why you need to analyze the situation and how the problem can be defined. These two questions first will come in mind. Why you're formatting program? So why I'm discussing the situation? The situation is there because of the culture, right? As you know that, see that you have seen that everywhere, right? We have a certain traditional culture. We have a certain culture according for the village, right? So gender is differed by culture. Is it clear? So since gender is differ by culture, so your method to approach the gender should be according to the culture. And and if you are going to study the culture is going to provide you the constraint or the restraint you are supposed to face for your program. Is it clear? So if you are going to read the culture, then you get the constraint, then you have to define kind of constraint there. What kind of constraint you are facing here. Is it clear? If you are getting this kind of situation, then you can formulate your program effectively. Listen carefully again. We are analyzing situations. What kind of situation we are facing? Since we are advocating the people participation, and people participation include both male and female, right? And we are emphasizing the more participation from female. But we have a restraint. What the restraint is generally culturally. See, we don't have any legal restraint. As per our constitution, both men and women have equal right for any kind of economical activities or social activities. But we have a hindrance. Generally, in India, we have hindrance related to the culture. Is it clear? So since genders are differ by culture, right? So you have to understand the related constraint there. Fine. And when you get the constraint properly, then you are able to define the problem. Okay, what the basic problem you are facing there, right? Then on the basis of all those two factors, their cultural and the restraint and the problem you have defined, you are able to distinguish the different roles for both men and women. Then you are able to distribute the task and responsibility to the men and women by analyzing situation and problem definition. Is it clear? So here situation is defined by culture and culture provide you certain constraint, certain hindrance. So you have to define the problem accordingly. Have you got this point here? Or is there any question related to that? So let me conclude the session itself here. So before conclusion, I like to summarize the things that we have discussed so far. Is it clear? So we have started this topic, women in watershed. Then we have discussed certain myths that we know that basic myths. We have discussed five myths basically. We have discussed, right? Then we have discussed the constraint. We have discussed the incompetence of women. This is just a myth. I'm talking about. I'm not talking in a real sense. It's just certain kind of perception we have discussed. Then I have discussed how you can make an arrangement or you can make a promotional activities for more women participation. Then I come to this topic, how the things can be analyzed. So I have summarized what the things I have discussed today itself. So if you have any question, you can ask. Is there any question? Any question from anyone, any student? So you can unmute yourself and raise a question, or you can write in the chat boxes. But if you unmute, obviously I told you is we're going to save the time. And one task that I have like to give to all of you that I have said you have understand the concept. What is the concept? Is just look at your village again through this perspective and make a note. If you are getting any kind of woman group there, what kind of woman group is it is, and not only you have to understand the group, you have to know the involvement. Why this kind of woman group is there, right? So in the next session, we all need to discuss all this case study that you have to collect, right? So when you're going to get this kind of activity, then we all able to learn. So sir for equality, yes, Bidama, what the question you have? You have asking so sir for equality. For equality, we depend on the law. Obviously, our constitution, we are not supposed to depend, even the constitution given this right to all of us, that women and men are equal. That is given by the constitution, not supposed to depend on the law. You are not supposed to justify. But despite you have a law, but still in our society, in our Indian society, there is lots of traditional cultural law is also there that people has to bind together themselves, isn't it? Despite you have one constitution. Is it clear? So these things you have to understand here. You are not supposed to depend. Law is already there. We are not supposed to make any new law. Law is already provided by our constitution. But because of cultural hindrance that I have discussed with you, because of cultural hindrance, this was not properly implemented. So we need to mitigate all those things. We need to make certain kind of steps that we have discussed. Okay, how the things can be restored, how the things can be improved there. Okay, so you all have to note down this task in the next session. You all have to come with one case study of your village. In your village, what kind of woman group is there, and the second thing is why that woman group is, and for what objective the woman group has been formed. Is it this three question I have given to you? That answer I need in the next session of our discussion. Is it clear to all of you? Okay. So take care. Enjoy your day. And again, the same thing I like to repeat. If you have any question or any doubt that come to your mind, either you can WhatsApp me or even you can call me so that I can clear the doubts to all of you. Is it clear?